We're staying in our drawingaccurately.dwg file, and as you can see, I've left it in the same state as it was at the end of the last video. So you can see there's the rectangle that we created using the grid and snap function down on the status bar. Now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to select these lines that you've drawn. Click on each one, get the little pick box in the crosshair over it and left click each time, like that. So that's selected all 4 of your lines, and then just right click on the mouse and you'll see the shortcut menu changes. It becomes a contextual shortcut menu based on what you're doing. Because you've got some objects selected now, you've got some extra tools on the shortcut menu, I'd like you to click on erase, like so. And that erases the lines that you've previously drawn. And then just roll back on the wheel a couple of notches like that. And you might even want to just double click on the wheel if you want to. As soon as you do that though, you'll notice, can you see you've got this green and red line. Now those indicate the X and Y axes in your drawing. So where that X and Y is intersecting at the moment is actually 0, 0. That's the origin there. So if I move to the right along the x-axis, that's the positive x value. If I go to the left, that would be a negative x value. Same with y. If I go upwards, it's a positive y value. If I come downwards from the origin, it's a negative y value. Now what we're going to do, we're going to draw using coordinates, these x and y axes, and basically specifying x and y values for coordinates to draw the same rectangle that we drew earlier. Now in order to do that, what I'd like you to do is come down to the status bar, turn off your snap function here. You don't need to snap to the grid anymore. We're going to use coordinates this time. Leave the grid on though, because it gives you a little bit of clarity and you can see that you are actually going to exact coordinates. Do not switch on polar, object snap tracking or object snaps yet. We don't need them. We're drawing using coordinates this time. So make sure you're on your objects layer like we did for the previous video. And then I'm going to go up to the home tab on the ribbon, back to the line command on the draw panel. So there's line, click on the line command and come into the drawing area. It's asking me for the first point of my line. We're going to type in that little blue box there on the dynamic input 2000. So that is my x-axis value. So it's positive. So I'm going to the right 2000 units along that red x-axis. If I then type the comma, like so, as if I'm typing the coordinate, it takes me to the y-axis value. I can also use the tab key on the keyboard to do that, so I'll type in 2000 again, like so. So that's my x and my y value. So in essence it's x comma y, 2000 comma 2000. Press enter once on the keyboard. And you should see now, can you see that your line is starting from a grid square? And all the dynamic input is kicking in, giving me distance, angle, and specifying next point. Now, I'm going to draw my rectangle using what is known as relative coordinates. So I have to put a specific prefix in, which is the @ symbol. You know the @ symbol that you use in your email address, or perhaps your Instagram name or something like that? It's that @ symbol, okay? So as soon as you type @ you'll see the dynamic input changes and you've got a distance there. So we need to now specify a coordinate that we're going from that first point, 2000 comma 2000. I need to move to the right by 500, but I don't want to move in the y direction up and down, so that's going to be 0. So I'm going to go 500 comma 0, like that. So I'm going from the original point of the line 500 to the right horizontally. Press enter and you'll see there's your first line segment. So I'll zoom in a bit now. You'll see obviously the grid update a little bit as well. So that's our first line segment. So the left hand end of that horizontal line is at 2000 comma 2000, which is an absolute coordinate based from the origin, that x and y where they intersect. The next coordinate that we put in, the @ 500 comma 0, means that we've moved 500 to the right horizontally because there's no y value. So I now need to come downwards. So I need to possibly use some negative values now. So I'm going to type in @ again, this time 0 in the x direction, comma, and then a minus 250 in the y direction, because I'm coming downwards. Downwards is negative in the y direction. Press enter, and you'll see I've got a vertical segment coming down. Can you see that? And there's the next line segment waiting to go in. So I need to go horizontally now to the left to basically replicate what we've got above. So it's going to be another at, but this time I'm going to the left, so it's going to be minus 500, comma 0, coordinates, remember? Press enter, and there we go. Now the good thing is I don't have to remember the last coordinate, because I can just right click and close like we did last time. So that's using coordinates in AutoCAD. So if you don't put that at symbol in front, it's an absolute coordinate relative to that x and y, the origin where x and y intersect. If you put an at symbol in front, it's a relative coordinate relative to the last point placed. It's quite clever stuff how you can utilize those coordinates in AutoCAD.